What's happening, everyone? I'm System Check 66. Welcome to the channel, and we do have some Resident Evil 8 Village supposed playtest leaks. So a lot of information here, could be false, could be true. Take this information with a grain of salt, but I'm getting this all from Biohazard Declassified, and we're going to get straight into it. So the opening of the game. According to our source, the opening sequence is the same as the beginning of the trailer. Mia reading a story to her daughter. According to this source, it was the storybook format with Mia's narration that we'd previously discussed, but it was rough and still much a work in progress. Ethan arrives as Mia is finishing reading the story to their daughter, who goes by the name of Rose. Jazzy sounding tune plays in the background. Ethan can walk around the house and find notes scattered about, more than likely for the player to get a feel for the controls. Interestingly, some of the notes you can read scattered around the house include that Ethan, Mia and Rose are all free and clear of the E-virus. The mold. Rose weighed 14 pounds at birth. Definitely a suspicious weight, especially if she's clear of any virus. And that Ethan has spent at least some time training with Chris after the events of Resident Evil 7. Also to note, bobbleheads are making a return in Resident Evil Village, as our source made the claim that the ticking noise they've made in the last 3 releases can be heard, and the same style as 7 can be found on a bookshelf upstairs. Little nod there, little Easter egg. After you've done a little bit of exploring the first floor of the house, you can take the child from Mia and put her to bed. Ethan walks upstairs to a dark second level to the baby's room and places Rose in her crib. He returns downstairs to Mia cooking something in the pot on the stove with her back turned towards him. At some point, the faint sound of a European emergency vehicle siren can also be heard, also hinting to the fact that the Winters have seemingly relocated to Europe in Resident Evil Village. At this point, our source says the mood and feel of the game definitely felt as if it was shifting, and he half expected to see Mia transform as we saw in RE7. The attack. Ethan tries conversing with Mia while she cooks about the events that happened in Louisiana, and Mia's demeanour towards him turns cold, as she shows little interest in discussing the situation. At some point in the exchange, the window shatters and bullets fly into the kitchen, hitting Mia and dropping her to the floor, though not killing her. The scene shifts to Chris entering the house with 2 masked henchmen as they secure the interior of the house, and Chris walks up to Ethan and Mia, delivers his "sorry Ethan" line and proceeds to finish Mia off. Now, an interesting note from our source here is, in the playtest, Ethan responds with "what the hell, Chris," instead of his "why" line from the trailer. Now bear with me, because Biohazard Declassified sometimes when they do articles and stuff, they don't proofread their stuff. So, instead of they, it was thee. So I have to, fumble around with that. Leading to the village. The next series of events seemed to also still be in conceptual stages in the playtest, but after the assault on the Winters home, Chris takes the baby and Ethan is also loaded into a vehicle. At some point during the drive, the vehicle crashes and Ethan comes to after the wreck and climbs out of the vehicle and finds a broken cell phone and makes the comment of needing to find a phone to call for help, which we'd previously heard. Ethan leaves the car wreck and starts along the dark path in the woods, which is the sequence we can see in the trailer. Our source said you come to a first cabin that sets the tone for the architecture to expect in the rest of the village, though there is nothing to interact with at this first location. Continuing on, you can start to see the village as the sun begins to rise. You walk down a slight slope to enter the village, and multiple cabins can be seen and dead animals are scattered around. Our source says these dead animals almost look like they've been placed as offerings to appease some evil entity. The cabin attack. The next sequence makes up a good deal of footage from the trailer and is the most interactive part of the playtest. Ethan enters another cabin to find an old man hiding behind the curtain, and he hurriedly explains that something is coming and hands Ethan a pistol. Ethan then realises the handgun is unloaded, but before you can look for ammunition, a huge arm smashes through the ceiling and the old man is torn through the ceiling. Resident Evil 2 vibes with Birkin. Seconds later, the floorboards underneath Ethan are shattered and another arm reaches up and drags him through the floor. Ethan is then in a fight for his life. As the enemies around him, the Beastmen, try to attack. At this point, the player can find a shotgun, presumably the old man's, as he's not seen again, and also get pistol and shotgun ammo. The next bit of action is admittedly a blur. What we have gathered is there's no one way to play out this cabin sequence. There is furniture marked with yellow tape, a common thing in the RE engine games to donate interactive environmental objects that can be used to block enemies pursuing you, and barricades that can be made. The beastmen deal massive damage but can be taken down with a well-placed headshot from the shotgun, and enemies will attack with various weapons and tools as reported previously. Their attack pattern is very wolf-pack, like as they will surround and form a perimeter. See, that sounds weird. It's hard to read this sometimes. They have the rotten appearance previously spoken on as well. The segment also appears to be semi-non-linear, as the player is given an option to avoid enemies, and there is a part where you can actually sneak past a beastman eating a villager, and a player can escape using a ladder that leads out of the window. Our source notes that you need to move as quickly as possible to escape, as there was not enough ammo laying around to actually confront these threats here. Running away is the only choice, typical Resident Evil fashion. They also note that the beastmen did not have all their final assets rendered and appeared less hairy than the one in the trailer. Meeting the Gorilla Man. Once outside, the player is met by a hammer axe carrying behemoth that some of these alleged testers have dubbed the Gorilla Man. This creature not only seems to be a sort of mini-boss, but actually seems to have some control over the beastmen. After he jumps off the roof, he comes up to Ethan, giving the player a clear look, and seems to give Ethan a once-over before calling off the beastman attack. It's kind of weird. Another thing that they said is that there is a creature on horseback carrying an impaled man in a suit on a spear, okay, which I found very interesting. And during my frame-by-frame investigation of the trailer to get the screenshots for this article, I found that this is actually somewhat visible for a split second and easy to miss, which is probably why no one has mentioned this before. In the right hand of the frame, after a little brightness adjusting, you can clearly see a man impaled on a spear. A closer look further into the corner and you can see a creature carrying said spear. And an even closer look into the bottom right hand corner and you can see the horse's head and its ears. This information right here alone makes me believe that this could be the most legitimate piece on the playtest yet. After the attack is called off and Ethan makes his escape, he then finally meets the old woman in robes from the trailer that we now believe to be a merchant-like character. And she tells Ethan something to the effect of they'll be seeing a lot of each other. I'll buy that for a high price, stranger. That appears to be the end of the playable portion of the demo, and it ends with a cutscene that showed off a group of villagers hiding in a building as one of them turns into a beastman. Very Thing kind of vibe going on there. Now, this is probably the most intriguing bit of this Resident Evil Village info, because if true, it either means that the villagers can possibly be infected with whatever bioweapon this could be, or it might give credit to the rumours of hallucinations, which could end up being even worse, as you might end up harming the uninfected. Interesting. Other Resident Evil Village details. When it comes to inventory, this source did agree that all of the previous details that others have said and the inventory system we saw in the Resident Evil Village special developers message were accurate, or was accurate. They did also concur that the circle areas seen under the weapon are indeed for upgrades and attachments. They also mentioned that when a weapon was highlighted in the inventory, there was an upgrade path, like layout that included weapon stats. Also, the pause menu contained a photo mode option, though that might just be for the testing purpose. This is all exciting information to see, and we really feel that this might be the most detailed and reliable look at the ambassador testing. Hopefully we see more on Resident Evil Village this Thursday, but if not, we know more information is coming this month. As always, we'll be watching and checking sources to keep everyone up to date. So okay, that's the supposed playtest leak, the most detailed one we've had so far. Gives us a little look at the story side of things, a little look at the weapon upgrades, and also sort of a look at the beastmen and some of the enemies we'll be facing. Okay, so firstly, let's talk about Ethan and Mia residing in the same area as this village. Previously, I thought they lived in a completely different town or city or something, and they got Ethan got transported to this village. That's not the case. However, some leaks and stuff previously has said that Rose gets killed. That's the baby's name, as we know it now. That doesn't happen. So either Capcom let people play a version of the game to find out who would leak it and then changed it, or those leaks were fake. Obviously, Ethan and Mia live in the same sort of country as this village resides, and on the way to, wherever he's going, van crashes, or, whatever this emergency vehicle crashes, and Ethan finds his way to the village, so it must be very close by. But it's very rural and cut off. That's the interesting thing about it. So, it's kind of strange. Like I said, their house or their apartment or wherever they're living, I think it's a house, wasn't cut off from technology. It had all the creature comforts in there. So this village, though, is completely rural and not the same. So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. Like, we're gonna have to see when it comes to playing the game and everything gets revealed, throughout the story. Like, why is this village so rural and cut off from civilization, but they seemingly live quite close to it? Do you know what I mean? And their house isn't cut off from civilization. It's got all that like technology and stuff inside it, you know, it's up to date. So yeah, I find that quite strange, and I'm interested, very interested to see how that plays out. Beastmen, yeah, from what I've read, very cool. They can hunt you in packs, stuff like that. It seems like they're going to be extremely smart enemies, and maybe even the smartest to date, so that's cool. The Gorilla Man can control other sort of enemy types, which leads me to think the Plagas are in this game in some form or another, because in previous games when we faced off against Plagas, there's always like a head Plaga ordering all the others around. So yeah, I feel like the Plagas are, you know, in this game, but maybe more advanced. Now, as for the Gorilla Man walking up to Ethan, giving him a once-over, and then sort of allowing him to live, I guess, that's a little bit weird. It gives me Nilo Angelo vibes from Devil May Cry. You know when Nilo Angelo is taunting Dante, and he's like, come on, let's go, let's fight. Yeah, I get Nilo Angelo vibes, so that's just me on a personal note. So I've got to see this in action to get a gist of how it plays out, as opposed to reading about it. As for the guy on the horse, or the enemy type on the horse, you know, spearing dudes and shit, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if that's moving too far away from Resident Evil, personally. That's me personally. I'm going to have to see this guy in action, if it is true, if the leaks are to be believed. But as it stands, I don't know, man. I don't really like that enemy type, I've got to be honest. All the rest are cool. But the enemy type with the spear, it just gives me Ninja Gaiden vibes. You know, that boss in Ninja Gaiden, the first boss you face. And that's why I'm not really feeling it. But like I said, I wasn't really sure about Resident Evil 7 when it came out, and the Bakers just being the main antagonist. And then once I got to play through the game and experience their kind of evilness, I like them. I really like them. So, you know, it all comes down to when we get to play this game for ourselves, or what we see in the trailer. The new trailer's coming soon. The inventory, fine. Don't really need to go over that. Pretty much explained it before. And the merchant we've gone over in a previous video. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I also got to give a big shout out to everybody subscribing to the channel, and everyone that interacts with my videos and my content. Is much appreciated. Now, you won't have to wait too long for any more Resident Evil content from me, because there's an RE8 trailer dropping, and I'm going to be covering it straight away. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If you like this video, go ahead and smash the like button. And if you enjoy the content I'm making, subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys very soon for my breakdown of the Resident Evil 8 trailer. Until next time, I'm System Check 66, and I'm out of here. Peace.